composite function. Let me state this again. I said that in our last class, we were talking about functions. I believe everybody can hear me. If you can hear me, please indicate by saying a hi, so I will know that every one of you can hear me. If you can hear me, please indicate by saying hi, so that's all right. That's fine. So I believe a larger percentage of you here can hear me very well. All right, so let's start the class. So in today's class, we are going to be looking at the function, right? In our previous class, we also looked at functions. I actually talked about the composite function, the inverse function, but that class I was not able to record it. I recorded it, but I didn't save it by mistake, so we lost that video. But in this class, we are going to look at function, specifically composite function. Now, if you were in our last class, please let's listen. We cannot stop sending. If you were in my last class, I said something. I said that a function shows relationship between a dependent variable and an independent variable. And most times, it is usually written as y, right, is equals to f of x. It's usually written as what? Y is equals to f of x, where we said that y is the dependent variable. Can you still remember? We said y is dependent and x is the independent variable. Independent. So y is dependent, x is independent. Now the question you now want to ask yourself is, what does it mean when we say something is dependent? And what does it mean when we say something is independent? And how do we actually interpret this statement here? This particular statement. How do we interpret it? If somebody say, let's say, Tombra, look at this statement and then explain it to a layman in the basic term possible, or in a very lame term, or in a basic term. How would you, Tombra, be able to actually tell someone who does not know mathematics the meaning of this statement here? Now, you will all agree with me that this y is equals to f of s. It means y is a function of x. It means that y is a function of x. Now, when we say y is a function of x, what do we actually mean? It means that y depends on x. That is the meaning. Y depends on x. Hence, we say that y is a function of x. Y depends on x. So we say in this case that y here is the dependent variable, and then x is the what? Independent variable. So most times you are going to see something like y is equals to f of x. It means y is a function of x. That means the values of y depends on basically the values of what? X. Y depends on x, but x is independent. S can be plugged in into any of the equation. Now listen. And we are also told, if you now want to go into domain and range, which of course we are going to get to, right? I don't want to rush that. So first of all, we know that y is a function of s. That is y is equals to f of s. Y is the dependent variable and s is the independent variable. Is that okay? So if you are giving x and y, for me to know that you guys are following, let's just look at this together. If I give you x and y, which of them is the dependent variable and which is the independent variable? Which is the dependent variable and which is the independent variable? I need the answer in the comment section. Which is the dependent variable and which is the independent variable? I need the answer in the comment section. If you are given x and y, which is the dependent variable and which is the independent variable? I need the answer in the comment section. Y is dependent variable, okay? Which of them is the independent variable? Everybody should participate. That is why it's an online class. Everyone have the choice. It's a discussion. After this night, you may not necessarily even need to read because you've learned something from here. X is independent and Y is dependent. I love this. I love the response. Shioma, Charlie, Dobra. All right. I need more reply. Y is independent. Are you sure Y is independent? Did I say Y is independent? No. I said y is dependent, x is independent. All right? So please correct yourself. Y is dependent, x is independent. Exactly. All right? So please correct yourself on that. Now listen. If you are given two functions, f of s and g of s, their composition is denoted and defined by. Now when we talk about composite function, when we talk about composite function, it means something inside another. Composite function means what? Something inside another. Are you getting it? That is what the composite function means. Something inside another. For instance, I gave a riddle in our last class. The riddle I gave was, I am an object. I have several rooms inside of me. I am an object. I have several rooms inside of me. What is the correct answer? I am an object. I have several rooms inside of me. Onion, right? If you open onion, it composes of different other layers of it. Are you getting it? Now, some of us also, we are like that. We have different compartments in us. We have different composition in us. Some of us, when someone unleash the good part of you, you have the hidden bad part of you inside. If they unleash the bad part of you, you now bring out the talking part of you. Remove the talking part, you now bring the smiling part. After the smiling part, you bring the angry part. Are you getting it? Some of us have these very vast behavioral changes. Are you getting it? Same thing is applicable here. So when we talk about composite function, it means that one of the function is present in the other. Is that okay? Now, whenever you are given something like this, f of s and g of s, their composite will be something like f of g. And most times, f of g is written as f what? G of x. These are to write f of g. F of g is written as what? F, then g of x. Now, what does this mean? It means, listen, I explained this in our last class. It means that wherever you see x in f of x, what you are going to put is put in the value of what? G of x. Wherever you see x in f of s, put in the value of what? G of x. Now, let me state this again. I believe this sometimes these things, there are things that most of us, we tend to feel, oh, we've understood it, but in the real sense, you don't understand it. Now, listen. I said, if by the time you are given an expression of f of s, let's say they gave you f of x is equals to 2x plus 3. And then they give you g of x. All right? And then maybe they give you g of x. And g of s was given to you as, let's say, 6x. I'm just using this to give example. Now, what this statement is whenever you look at f of x, this is f of s. Wherever you see x in f of x, that is the expression of f of s. Wherever you see x, put in the value of what? G of x. The value of g of x is what? 6x. Abi? So if you put in this value, this is going to give us 2 brackets 6x plus what? 3. 2 times 6x is what? 12x plus 3. And this is what we have as our what? F of g. Is that okay? So that's basically how to write functions and their composition. So we have what we call composite functions. Is that okay? So two functions, f of s and g of s, and their composition is defined and divided by this expression I've actually written here. All right? The expression I've written here, and also when we begin to apply it, you see things like this. Now let's solve one example rather. Let's say you have something like this. The question says, given that, this from your note, your class note, given that f of s is 3s squared minus 5s plus 2, and g of x is x plus 1, and h of x is sin s plus cot s, evaluate the following. The first thing you are asked to evaluate is f of g. Now, first of all, what is the value of f of x? F of x is given as what? 3s squared, and then you have minus 5x plus 2. And then g of x is given to you as x plus 1. Now the question says find f of g. And I told you the expression for f of g. It means f bracket g of x. Now what this means is wherever you see x in f of x, put in the value of what? G of x. Wherever you see x in f of x, put in the value of what? G of x. So in this case, what is our f of x? So we come here and say f of g is equals to, what is our f of x? All right, what is our f of x rather? Our f of x is 3s squared minus 5s plus 2. Our f of s is 3s squared minus 5s plus what? Plus 2. Is that okay? 5 is 3s squared minus 5s plus 2. So what we are going to do is write this. First of all, 3. Then you have, now in place of this x, what you are going to put is x plus 1. In place of this x, what you are going to put is x plus 1. That is the meaning of this expression. So let us put s plus 1 here, and then you square it, minus, then you have 5, because that's the next thing for f of s. Now, in place of this x, you are also going to put the value of what? X plus 1. So we also have x plus 1 plus 2. Then when you simplify this, it's going to give us f of g is equals to 3 bracket s plus 1 square will be what? S plus 1 bracket what? S plus 1, right? S plus 1 square will be equals to what? S plus 1 bracket what? X plus 1. So what do? We open through. S times x will give us s square plus x times 1 will give us x plus 1 times x will give us s plus 1 times 1 will give us 1. And this will be s square plus s will be 2x plus 1. So in place of s plus 1 square, we can put what? S square plus 2x plus 1 minus 5 bracket x plus 1 plus what? 2. Then you can begin to evaluate this, which will give us f of g will be 3 times this will give us 3s square plus 3 times 2s will give us 6s plus 3 times 1 will give us 3 minus 5 times s will give us 5x plus 5 times 1 will give us 5, then plus what? 2. Now, as it is, if you collect like terms, what do you think your final answer will be? I need you guys to complete this now. Tell me the final answer if you collect like terms. I need the answer. If you collect like terms, what do you think the final answer will be? Collect like terms and tell me the final answer. I'm waiting. Collect like terms and tell me the final answer. I am waiting. Let's see what that will give to us. That will give us f of g. Let me write it up here. F of g is equals to, we have 3s squared plus, now this will be 6s minus 5s will give us x. Good. Then 3 plus 5 will give us what? 8 plus 2 will give us 10. But that will not work. Do you know why? Because this minus 5 is supposed to open through everything here. So here is supposed to be minus 1 and not 10. Are you getting it now? So please correct that. And here also supposed to be minus 5 and not plus 5. So with that knowledge, now this becomes 3 minus 5. 3 minus 5 is going to give us what? 3 minus 5 is going to give us minus 2. Right? Then minus 2 plus 2 is going to give us what? 0. So how many of you got that correctly? Or is there any mistake somewhere? If there's a mistake, you can unmute yourself and let me know. Look at it very well. Look at it very well. 3 minus 5 is minus 2. Minus 2 plus 2 is what? 0. So the correct answer to this question is 3x squared plus x. Is there any confusion here or any question? I want you guys to reply yes or no. Is there any confusion or any question as to this particular one? Is there any confusion or any question? No questions. I believe it's clear enough. What about the other persons? How about the other persons? Any question? Good. So we can move ahead. Exactly. So that is the first one we are asked to find. Now the second one we are asked to find is g of f. Now when you talk about g of f, now what do we mean? We mean wherever you see x in g, put in the value of what? F of x. That is what it means. It means wherever you see x inside of g, put in the value of what? F of x. So anywhere you see x in g, put in the value of what? F of x. Now what is our g? G of x is what? X plus 1. So g of f would be equals to, now we say wherever you see x, put in the value of what? F of s. So this is our first s. What is the value of f of s? Value of f of s is something like, it's very long, 3s squared minus 5x, then plus 2, then plus 1. Alright? And this will give us g of f is 3s squared minus 5x plus 2 plus 1. Right? Now, this will give us g of f is equals to 3s squared minus 5x plus 3. And that will be the correct answer. Okay, so Tombra and Anastasia already solved it and gave the correct answer. Most of us, we are here, but we are not replying and following the class. I will just assume that you understand what we are doing. All right, so that is beautiful. Now, can we try g of h using the same idea now? G of h. What do you think will be the correct answer for g of h? For g of h, the reason why I'm taking my time to answer this question is because they are very, very important. You may see them in your exam. G of h means g h of x. It means wherever you see x in g, put in the value of what? H of x. That is what it means, right? So this is going to give us g o h is equal to, what is g? G is s plus 1, right? So if you first of all take in g, which we said g of x rather is what? X plus 1. So whenever you see this x here, put in the value of what? H of x. That is the meaning. This x here, put in the value of h of s. That is the meaning of this statement here. So our g of h would be equals to, put in the value of h of s. What is h of s? H of s is sine x plus cos x, then of course plus 1. And this will give us the same thing, sine s plus cos x plus 1. And that is the correct answer to that question. Did anyone get that correctly? All right, Anastasia, that is very good. It means you are following the class. Now the next one is h of g. H of g. Now what do you think that one will be? What is our h of g in expression form? Is h bracket g of x. All right, our h of g is h bracket g of x. Now what does that mean? You have the value of h of x. H of x says sine x plus cos x. Now what does this statement mean? It means wherever you see x in h of s, put in the value of what g